Hello and welcome to episode 133 of Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry. Today we are talking about characteristics of a successful project. I am so excited to dive into this topic because I know it's going to make a difference for you if you feel like you have a lot of stuff going on and you feel like you have no project time and you feel like you have maybe little control over all the stuff going on in your life. I promise you project planning is going to change things for you. So welcome. If you are brand new to Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. One of the things that we teach is how to build what we call a step command central. And I'm so excited to introduce you to a little bit more about what the command central will do for you. Everything we talk about today will be on our show notes page, which is learndobecome.com/episode 133. Okay, let's dive in. Now, we are doing a program right now at Learn, Do, Become called 4 Weeks to Finished. This is my week 3 report. The last 2 podcasts have been week 1 and week 2 report. And I'm just kind of letting you know what we're doing here behind the scenes in the 4 Weeks to Finish program. So for some of you who are following along at home, or some of you who might just be interested in what we're doing, you can get a little bit of a better feel for it. We had class 3 last Thursday. We've been doing them on Thursdays this round. And this time we really focused on the project planning. Now, weeks 1 and 2 were more about building the command central and then learning how to process. And then now we're diving into more of the project planning. And I know project planning probably sounds so boring. And you're thinking, really, we want to talk about projects? I'd much rather watch a show or do something more exciting. But really, once you learn how every problem or desire or goal or frustration or hope can be turned into a project, and then it can be put into a trusted system, it gives you some measure of control in your life. And it's not like I want everyone to turn into a control freak, and I certainly don't want to be a control freak, but so much of the anxiety and depression that people experience stems from that lack of control. And you just think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. But when you can easily assess where you do or don't have influence, then in the areas where you can make an impact, you can just create projects that move you forward. And then suddenly you realize that you can impact your reality. And that feels amazing. Now, sometimes there are things that are happening in our lives that we literally can't control. I can't control government guidelines. I can't control the decisions other people make. I can't, control whether tech works or the weather. There's certain things that are totally out of our control. And so that's fine. Learning how to be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to do the best of what I've got. That's a really healthy way to think about it. But there are so many times where you can make an impact. Like if there is something that happens because of a choice someone else makes, then you can say, all right, what is my response? How could I put that into a very tangible, specific project? And how can I move forward? Because then instead of sitting around worrying about everything, you're actually deciding what you want this outcome to be, and you're brainstorming ways that you can do specific tasks that will lead you toward a really great outcome. That's why I'm so excited, because I want you to feel empowered. I want you to know that even if you are living in a circumstance where there are really frustrating people around you, or things happening, or emails coming your way, or things being thrown at you, that you have the ability to make really wise decisions with how you use your time and energy. And then you can feel calm, and you can feel present, and you can feel strong, and you can be courageous, and you can know that it's not what happens to you, it's what you actually choose to do with circumstances that you may find yourself in. And then how you can start putting yourself into circumstances where all of a sudden better things are happening and fewer friction points are coming up in your life. Doesn't that sound good? That's what I want for you. So one of the things that I did in our class last Thursday, and that's just what I'm going to focus on today in the podcast, because Spencer has the day off school today and we're going to go outside and have some fun. So I'm going to keep this kind of brief for today. But I wanted to give our members a really tangible list of what it means to have a successful project. because a lot of times we don't really even know what is a project and how do I make it successful, because so many people find that projects to them mean I have a whole lot of things I'm procrastinating. There's just a whole bunch of stuff I need to do, but I can't ever get to it because I'm so busy with my day-to-day. That doesn't feel empowering at all. That feels extremely stressful. And I used to live like that, so I completely understand. So first I'm going to explain a little bit more about what a project is, and then I will share my 4 characteristics of a successful project. Okay, what is a project? The way that David Allen defines it in the book Getting Things Done, which is one of my favorite books, is it's multi-step tasks, okay, that actually can be completed. So when you think about multi-step tasks, all right, so a project would be something like, okay, we are going to redo the bathroom, or I'm going to put together a proposal for a new project at work, or we're going to establish a new routine for meal planning. Those all require multiple steps and can't typically be done in one sitting. Learning how to manage projects then is really important, because if you noticed, most of the things that you are procrastinating right now probably are things you just feel like you don't have time to do. If 20 minutes pop up, you think, well, yeah, I could start working on it for, 20 minutes, but then it's not going to be done. And then I'm just going to have made either a bigger mess in my head or a bigger mess in my home or office. So we tend to put them off until we feel like we have this big chunk of time of 8 or 10 or 20 uninterrupted hours. And when does that ever happen? Probably never. So then you don't do it. And then these things are just hanging over your head. Things like taxes. That's a project. Going through, getting it filed. It can actually be checked off a list, but it's not typically something you can do in one sitting. Usually projects involve things like an errand, a discussion with somebody, a phone call, some computer work, some actual sit down and think work, things like that. Refinishing a dresser, that's a project. Usually you can't do that in one sitting. So anything that's multiple tasks that kind of string together, but a project can actually be accomplished. So I wouldn't call laundry a project. Laundry is a routine because the laundry is never done. And so things like cooking, cleaning, paying bills, these aren't projects. Those are routines. But establishing a routine is a project. Someone today in our Rise group said, I want to have better meal planning. I want to feel like I've got healthy meals ready to go. I'm kind of bored of what I'm eating. I want our family to all enjoy eating, and we all have different tastes. Okay, so establishing a better meal planning system that you can rely on every single week and every month, that's a project. But then once that project is done and your routine is established, now we move it into routine mode. So those are just a few things to keep in mind. Okay, now let's go ahead and dive into these 4 characteristics. Number 1, if a project is going to be successful, it occupies one of the few slots on your current projects list. You might be asking, well, what's a current projects list? I want you to have one very simple, focused list. Preferably, there's also a copy of it hanging somewhere where you can see it visually. And it's not just something digital. I do keep mine digitally, but I also put on a chalkboard hanging in my office. These are my current projects for the month, with no more than like 7 or 8 projects on the list. But for most people, if you're overwhelmed right now, I would just put, between 1 and 3 projects on that list. You don't have to have a ton. Your current projects list, if it's created optimally, gives you a lift whenever you see it. When I walk by my chalkboard, if I see it and think, oh, this is going in a lovely direction, I'm having a great time with my current projects, I know I've created it well. If I look at that list and I feel sick and think, oh, I don't have the bandwidth for it, this is too much, and other stuff keeps coming up, then I've got to simplify it. We don't want to set ourselves up for failure. We want to feel really empowered by our projects list. Now, I keep my current projects list divided into categories of me, my family, and beyond. So, for example, for me this month, I'm working on creating a routine where I'm doing my mind, body, spirit gyms. These are my little gyms where I spend a little time each day, or an appropriate amount of time each day in each of those categories. So I spend time nurturing my spirit. I spend time in my mind gym. That's where I'm learning how to visualize, and I'm creating my vision for the future, and I'm creating this emotional resilience and mental strength. And I go through scenarios and I breathe and I have affirmations and all of that. And I spend that time, I call it my mind gym. I also have my physical gym, meaning I am exercising, eating well, taking care of my breathing, sleeping, right? So that type of stuff. But I'm creating these routines where I am daily focusing in my mind, body, spirit gyms. That's been so fun for me. Every time I look at my current projects list, I see that. I think, yay, I'm taking care of myself. This feels so good. And I love it. Okay, so that's one of my projects. In family, those are things more related to what's happening in your home and family. So one of my projects was our We Love to Be a Family Day. We had that yesterday. I'll tell you a little more about it at the end. So fun. And then also I'm supporting one of my family members with something that they're going through that's kind of hard. And it's a project because it's something that I know will come to an end, but it requires my dedication and checking in regularly and my heart. And so I have it on my projects list. Things like Eric and I are preparing for a conference. That's on my projects list because he and I are going to be going together. We're going to need to have a few things, taken care of with our home and family while we're working with this conference. And so that's a project because there's multiple steps involved. Who's going to be walking our dog? Who's going to be, checking in on XYZ, right? And so I have a few things organized and things I need to prepare for this conference. Then the third category is beyond. And so for me, that means volunteer work and professional work. So professionally, right now, my current projects list is our 4 Weeks to Finish program. This is our first time we've been doing it. It's really amazing. I love our members. I love being in that Facebook group. I share my little secrets in there. I'm like, don't tell anyone. I'm telling you my little, not like secrets on how to get organized, just like more personal things. Anyway, it's super fun. I love it. And people are getting a good sense of humor in there. And I really love that group. So building that, and we have our 4th class coming up. So like preparing for that 4th session and recording this podcast and helping explain what's going on in 4 Weeks to Finish. And then we don't know when we're going to do it again, but we're starting to prepare. Okay, well, if we did it again, what would we change? What would we improve? How would we do this? So 4 Weeks to Finish is on my list. And then I'm in a YouTube training program because we're considering moving more into YouTube videos, which in some ways I'm super excited about. In some ways I'm not, because like right now I can record this podcast and I don't have to do my hair and makeup. It's kind of nice. I really like it. But I think YouTube, there's a benefit in being able to actually show people how to do things and do things face to face. Anyway, more on that later. But yes, this YouTube course is on my current projects list. And then I'm also working on this like mood log template based on Dr. David Burns' resources that I've loved so much that help with overcoming anxiety and depression. So I'm working on this template that I can use to share with some of the young adults we're working with in church and things that we could use, in our RISE program as well. So those are like projects. So I'm just kind of giving you a feel for what's on my current projects list because I want you to have a current projects list that shows what am I actually working on this month. Because we want to work on hundreds of things at the same time, but we just can't. We're humans and we have limited time and energy and capacity, which is fine. That's not a weakness. That's just how it is. We're human. And so being able to work with our humanness in a way that feels graceful and lovely and empowering is awesome. So that's the first characteristic. If you're going to have a successful project, it's on your current projects list, either me, my family, or beyond. And it's one of a very few, between 1 and 8, I'll say that. If your project is not on a very specific list like that, then I will just tell you, you're probably not going to get it done, or you're going to wait till last minute, or you're going to have a lot of stress. And if you're wondering, well, what do I do with all the other projects? That's where we have like next in line and someday. I have a video where I've talked about our tiered projects list. Anyway, the goal is that you want to have one list for the month. Very simple. And this project is one of them. All right, moving on to number 2. The project can either be done in a month's time or will have moved forward significantly in a month's time. It's not so big that it feels overwhelming. And break it down into a sub-project if it's too much. Okay, so this is a question we get so often is people will say, well, what if I have a really, really big project? Like, what if I'm starting a new business this year? Do I write start a new business on my current projects list? Because it's going to be on there every month and there's no way I'm going to finish it. Now, here's just what I'd recommend. You could either put start my business on your current projects list if it's a relatively small project. Like if your business is something like I'm going to be teaching guitar lessons and all I need to do is make a flyer with my rates and I need to maybe make a Instagram account and then I'm going to start publicizing and letting people know about it and I'm setting up a space where I'm going to teach the lessons. Okay, like you could probably just start my guitar teaching business and maybe it's going to be on there for a couple months, but that should be done. If you're doing something much bigger where you're thinking, oh, actually I have to build a website and I have to create a new product and I have to, get all the legal stuff put together with my business license and all of that. Well, then I wouldn't build my business as a project. I would make those sub-projects like get the business documents ready, and get my business license or pay for the LLC or whatever it is. And then I would make those into these sub-projects that are moving you forward on the business, but they feel very doable in a month's time. Same thing, we used to put on big retreats for moms, and we would be doing a retreat that would take a few months to kind of put together, to publicize, to get the location, figure out who the speakers were, all that kind of stuff. So we could keep retreat on our current projects list for 3 months. That's fine. And as long as we know it's moving forward really well every month. You just don't want dead projects on your list, and you don't want a project that's so big that you feel like your work doesn't matter. When Eric and I were first decided we wanted to become debt-free, and we currently are debt-free, and it feels amazing. But when we first started talking about it, I made this big chart of all our debt, like, okay, all we owed. And then I said, okay, we'll just work on this every month. But I felt like my efforts were doing nothing. Like if I put $40 towards the debt, I'm like, what'd that even do? That was like nothing compared to everything that we owe for our home and our education and all this. And it was just very discouraging and I wasn't inspired at all. So then I started making like smaller goals, okay, how about we just try to pay off this much in debt, this year. And then that felt really good because I felt like I could see some progress and some movement. So I think of it in a very similar way. If your project is huge, break it down. If it's not so big, but it's going to take more than a month, but you feel really good when you see it on your current projects list, awesome. Does that make sense? The goal is literally you look at your projects list, and if you feel a lift, you did it well. If you feel stressed out, then make some edits because I promise you, you're going to feel light and happy and energetic when you wake up and you see your projects list feels amazing. And then if more things come in, you can say, oh, that is a good idea. I should work on that, or I do want to work on that at some point, but right now is not the time because I have other things on my current projects list. Or if an emergency comes up, you put that new thing on your projects list and something else goes into your next in line. Because again, we are human. We can't do everything all at once. But when we have a very focused list, we build momentum. I don't know how many more times I should say that. I'll just stop. Just rewind and listen again if you want to hear that again. Okay. Number 3, if you have a successful project, then you keep all materials related to that project together so you can get right to work when time allows. I cannot even tell you how much time and energy and mental, space this is going to give you if you do this. Because I'll just ask you a question. Have you ever had time, maybe 45 minutes, and you think, okay, I have to leave in 45 minutes to this appointment, but I could work on this big, huge project that's been keeping me up at night. And then as you go to work on the project, you think, oh, wait, hang on, where was that paper I needed? Oh, yeah, and then I wrote down these scribbles the other day on a sticky note. Oh, yeah, and I got this thing in the mail. And wait, I was working on this project like 8 months ago, and I think I put some other stuff in this other binder down in the basement. Like you spend, 45 minutes or maybe 40 minutes of the 45 you had available just looking for those items and gathering them together. And then by the time you do gather them together, if you can find them all, you don't have any time or energy to work on anything. And then you're feeling like a loser, which you're not a loser, but sometimes we start to feel that way because we just think that we can't get anything done. So let's say you have a project that requires some large physical items. Like right now, Spencer is scanning all of the photos that my dad and mom took. And both of them have passed away now, but we have, probably 30 albums, I think, of all of their photos. And these are things all my siblings want copies of. I want to be able to have them digitized in case, there's ever a fire or flood or something. I don't want to ever lose them because this is our family history and they're such good pictures. So we have a scanner, we have the photo albums, we have the computer that goes with it, we've got the connection cords, right? And so all of that we keep in locations where they're very, very simple to gather together. We have a little closet by our dining room, and that's where we keep the scanner, the current album being scanned, the cords for the computer. And then when Spencer's ready to scan, he just goes and gets the computer because he also uses it for schoolwork. So he just goes and grabs that from the kitchen cupboard, brings it over to the dining room table, gets everything out. We can work on it and put it back. Then all the albums that need to be scanned, they're organized chronologically in a closet downstairs. So he can go get the next one and he labels, which ones he's finished. They're all numbered. Labels it, has a little spreadsheet where he calculates, what he's done, how many he's done, and we've been paying him for his work doing that. It's awesome. It's so easy. So if I say, oh, hey, Spencer, you've got a few hours. Do you want to do some scanning today? Or because right now he's 14, he doesn't have a different job. This is his job. If he decides he wants to earn some money, then all he has to do is go get the next thing, plug it in, and he can get right to work. It takes no time. Let's say you're doing scrapbooking. Okay, you might have a whole lot of supplies. They might not all fit in a command central, like what you see our photos of, like my cubbies. But you could have a little shelf or a little section of a closet and all scrapbook materials go right here. So you're not running around looking for scissors or whatever. What if you are painting a dresser? Okay, then you want to be able to have the drop cloth and the sandpaper and the paintbrushes and the paint and the knobs or whatever it is you're working with all in one location. So when you have time to work on it, you can just get right to work. I mean, this makes sense, right? But how many times, especially if it's something that has a lot of papers, how many times do you have papers spread around your whole home or office? Most people do. And often there's a combination of paper and digital resources. So what do you do about that? So I'll explain a little bit more about that. Okay. What we teach when we build a command central is that you want to have support materials that are organized by category. If you've ever seen a photograph of my command central, I have these white cubbies, and I got mine, I think, at Michael's. They also have them at Hobby Lobby. They have some on Amazon that are very similar, some at IKEA, I think. So, and I have a list of all of my command central resources. But in those cubbies, I have folders for sub-projects, and each cubby is a category. So, for example, I have one cubby that's called April's personal health. Okay. And then I have, I think, 4 folders in there. One is my goals. One is my mood logs. One is a folder for some of these digestion issues I've been dealing with, which are going way better now. But I have a whole folder for that where I had all my doctor, notes and research and all that stuff. And then I had another one for sleep issues. I have sleep apnea and had to work on some of my sleep issues. So I've got a folder for that. Now, if I have digital resources that are also related to my personal health, I have parallel digital notebooks. I personally use Evernote for most of that. That's what I like. You could use OneNote, you can use Google Drive, you can, there's lots of options for you. But I have parallel digital and paper files. So think about this. I have a support cubby called Learn, Do, Become, and I have an Arise folder inside there for our Arise membership. If I do any work on that, that's paper, it's in that folder. So imagine I sit down and I have 20 minutes to work on Arise. I already know what my project is for the month or what my routines are to maintain the membership. I can easily open up my Arise notebook in Evernote, and I can be sitting at my desk where all my paper files are. Anything I need is right there. This way, I spend no more than maybe 10 seconds looking for my resources, and then I spend 90.9% of my available project time actually working on the project. And then I just put things away, close things up, put the file back in the cubby, and I'm done. And that's what I want for you, is that if you have time to work on something, whether it's paid work or just hobby work or, volunteer work or family things, if you can just go work on it for 20 minutes and put it back, oh my gosh, that just makes the biggest difference. Now you actually build momentum and you have confidence in yourself. You can get things done, but you have to keep your project materials together. And what's been awesome is in our 4 Weeks to Finish program, as people have been building their support materials, I've heard people say, oh my goodness, I didn't know I was even missing these. I never had these before. How easy is this? Now, as I'm processing, I'll find a paper related to a project and I think, oh yeah, it goes into my cubby in this category, in this folder. How fun is that? Now your brain feels really calm because you don't have to feel like you're looking all over. You don't have piles all over your perimeter of your bedroom. You don't have things piled all over your desk. And then if you're working on, a few projects, remember the list is small, you can actually put them away and have a clear desk every day. My desk is clear unless I'm working on something. Like if you ever walk into my office, my desk is totally clear. So anytime I want to sit down, I can sit down. It's like a fresh, clean slate. Then I can be creative. I can be helpful. I can be responsive if something needs me. And I never walk in my office and think, oh, where am I going to sit? Oh, I have no room for anything. I never think that. But if you were to rewind back to when I was, 16 and you went into my room and saw my desk, I didn't even use my desk. I put all my clothes over my desk chair and just had piles of stuff because I never felt like hanging anything up. And then my desk itself was covered with just stacks of random things. I didn't have any system at all. And so I just worked sitting cross-legged on my floor. And it was just a pain. So, okay. One other thing I will mention is that if you have digital resources for a project, a lot of people now do. I mean, for me, I'd say 95% of my projects are digital because, we're doing podcasts and videos and online programs, and Learn to Become is a website. So obviously it's digital. But I don't just use Evernote. Like we have Google Drive shared with our team. I also have a personal Google Drive where I just do a lot of documents or, spreadsheets. I have Evernote where I keep things I love Evernote because it can hold photos and documents and text and or audio. I mean, it's amazing. And it's all searchable. So if you write something on a piece of paper and take a picture of it, you can search for that word you wrote down as long as you have good handwriting. So that's why I love Evernote, and it's super easy and it syncs to my phone and my computer. So I'm literally in Evernote every day, probably, 10 times a day. I love Evernote. And then I also use Dropbox, to manage big files, like if I'm recording a video or a podcast or, we have a class we made a recording of, it's all in Dropbox. So let's say, and I use Asana. I'm not trying to get you all stressed out because you don't have to use all these things. But Asana is what I used for project management as far as putting down the name of the project and all the subtasks. Well, if you do have things, so let's say I've got tasks and projects organized in Asana. I've got some resources in Evernote, some in Dropbox, some in Google Drive, and things are all over the place. Well, first of all, wherever they are, I have folders, very parallel folders in all of those places. So I have an Arise notebook in Evernote. I have an Arise folder in our Google Drive. I have an Arise folder in Dropbox. So I would know to go to the one labeled Arise. But what's so cool with Asana is that's where I'm writing out my tasks. I just put links in the description to that project to all those resources. Oh, here's the Dropbox, file for that class. Or here's the Evernote where I outlined everything, And so I put all the links, the live shareable links to those resources into the Asana description. And that way everything really is in the same location. And with Asana, you can also upload images, screenshots. You can comment back and forth. That's why I like it. But that's not foundational. That's kind of maybe for the advanced user or someone who's working with a team that's already using something like Asana. Okay, let's move to the last one. For a successful project, the project is executed with a predictable process. So this fourth characteristic actually has 5 little subpoints because David Allen's natural planning model, that's what he describes in his book, Getting Things Done. It's my favorite. I've never found anything that works better for me. And these are the 5 parts of it. 1 is you identify the purpose and principles, why am I doing this project to begin with? 2, you actually identify your outcome vision. If this were wildly successful, what would it look like? 3, you brainstorm. So you just, make little clusters, get everything out of your head. Oh, if I was going to do a great job with this and it's going to be awesome, what would it look like? And you're brainstorming all the different components. Then 4, you organize it. So you take all those brainstorms and you put them into maybe chronological order. When would we get them done? What would I delegate? What would I do? And then the 5th is next actions. So, okay, therefore what? What am I doing like this week to move forward on that? One really, really good example of this natural planning model is totally spelled out in our Learn, Do, Become holiday guide. And I know it's not holiday time right now as I'm recording this in February, but if you just go to our show notes page, we'll have it, or learndobecome.com/holiday, you can see how the natural planning model works with the whole thing. What does a brainstorm look like? How do you organize it? How do you identify next actions? And it's really, really clear, and you can go through the whole process. We even have an audio for each section. I even show you how I use Asana to organize the project. So that's something more you could dive into if you really do want to go very deep into using that natural planning model. We've got it covered for you. Okay, so I'll review those real quick. 4 characteristics of a successful project. The project occupies one of the few slots on your current projects list. Number 2, the project can either be done in a month's time or it will have moved forward significantly in a month's time. 3, you keep all materials related to that project together so you can get right to work when time allows. And then 4, the project is executed with a predictable process, something like David Allen's natural planning model. Now, if you come to our show notes page, I have a couple pictures for you I thought you might like. And again, our show notes is learndobecome.com/episode 133. And the first picture is a photo of the worksheet that Eric filled out on how to project plan and break it into steps. This worksheet, and I didn't put the link to it on the show notes page, but it's learndobecome.com/worksheet. Isn't that fun? Okay. So if you go there, you can see a blank template of the worksheet you can actually print. This is the worksheet that we give to anyone who comes to our free training, How to Finally Stop Drowning in Piles. A lot of you have probably already been to that training, but if you're new, there's a link to that too on our show notes page. Just come to the show notes page and all of it's there. But anyway, that's learndobecome.com/step. I know you're probably like listening to this while you're out walking or something, so you're not writing it down. That's okay. Just come to the show notes page and you can see it all there. But Eric likes to think about project planning with like Pez. Okay, so think of the Pez dispenser as the project, and then that project holds a bunch of next actions. And think of those as the little Pez candies. So Eric made a visual where he outlined, we wanted to take our family camping in Yosemite. We didn't live very far from it. It was within our budget. It was beautiful. We thought we'd all enjoy it, but we never went because it just felt like, oh no, we got to get camping gear and where are we going to go and when are we going to do it and when do we pack, and, all that stuff. Our family's not big on camping, and so it was kind of a big deal for us. So he shows how he took that project, figured out the next actions, identified the order. There's a spot for priority, and then there's also a spot for context. And we explain all of it in the free training, but you can also just look at the picture if you want, kind of figure it out. Context is where you are when you're doing it. So like, is it a computer task, a discussion, a home item, an errand, that type of thing. And then you can see also Eric made this cute card where it has a little index card and he outlined the whole project, and then he glued a piece of Pez next to each next action and put it right next to his little Superman Pez dispenser. So you can see, okay, here's a project, and then here's all my little Pez candies that need to be accomplished, and they're all in order. And then the idea, like we mentioned, a current projects list would only have, 1 to 8 projects on it. Imagine yourself with between 1 and 8 Pez dispensers standing on your desk. Okay, just imagine that. You look at your desk and there's all these Pez dispensers. Those represent your projects. And then all those little tasks inside are your next actions. And then each week, what you're doing is just pulling out a couple, of those next actions, a couple pieces of candy from each project that you want to move forward that week. And then that works into your list. So it's this idea of taking the big things you want to work on and breaking them down in a very simple way where your brain feels excited about it instead of feeling a little stressed. Okay? Come look at the pictures. I think it'll be helpful. And then just as usual, I've been so proud of our finishers this past week. There's been a lot of conversation in the Facebook group where a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, now that I've got my Command Central and I'm starting to process, I'm realizing how much I've built up over the years. but they finally see there's momentum. We asked people at the last call to share their wins, and I screenshotted a couple for you just anonymously. But one says, I see the progress that I am making. The black hole has a bottom. I love this because when you can see that the black hole you felt was just infinite and you felt like there's no hope and I'll never be done and I'm just going to be in this hole forever. But then you see it has a bottom and you're like, oh, no, I actually can process all of this and get to the point my life is calm and clear and free. That's game changing. Another one said, my brain is calmer, 2 exclamation marks. Things are starting to click. I've accomplished more in these past 2 weeks than in the last 6 months. I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. You notice these themes, the black hole, the tunnel. Now you're seeing that bottom of the hole or the light at the end of the tunnel. That's really important for our mental health, knowing that a challenge you're going through has like this light, like I'm going to come out of it. I don't have to feel like I'm just weighed down my whole life. That's where the discouragement comes, is when you think, I will never be out of the overwhelm. I will never feel calm and clear. My house will never feel manageable. My office will always be a mess. That's a really discouraging perspective, but often it feels like reality. And sometimes it is your reality if you have no system. But when you build your command central, all of a sudden things start to change. And I know that ignoring those piles often feels like the easy route, but really when you build your command central and then you realize you've got these tools, you're going to get out and stay out, you're just going to feel so much better. And that's how I feel right now. You know, I have challenges in front of me. There are things that I have to think through. I've got work to do, but my stomach isn't tight. I'm sleeping well. Our home is, generally organized. Like, yeah, there's some stuff in the garage I've got to put away. And, Eric and I are talking about these trees we've got to figure out in our backyard. And there's stuff that we want to do. But I feel calm. Like, I actually did just finish cleaning my office closet. I was super excited. It looks so good. And every time I open it, I just feel so happy. And my inbox is empty and my projects list is manageable. And I'm excited about things. And I could sustain this pace for the rest of my life and be very, very happy. And I have room to accommodate if any emergency came up, I'm not stressed. And I feel like, okay, I can handle things. Hopefully I'll stay healthy. Hopefully our whole family will stay healthy. Hopefully the world will be in a good place, and we all want that. But if anything changes or there's a challenge, it's not going to totally destroy me. Like, yeah, it might shake me a little, but I can get right back into it. And that's how it's been for over a decade, where I've had surgeries and we've had moves and job changes and really awful things we've had to go through that I wish I hadn't had to go through, but it's okay, So for those people in our 4 weeks to finish program, we have 3 homework assignments this week. I'll share those with you, and then I'm going to share how you can be involved right now if you're not in 4 weeks to finish. All right, so their homework number 1 is continue working with your STEP Command Central, specifically keeping very short, focused lists and processing all incoming ideas, papers, tasks, etc. into your new system. They've already built all the parts of it, and they've already learned the processing, so they just need to keep doing that. This is repetition. They're teaching their brain. There's a whole new way to do it now. No more piling up. No more sticking things on the kitchen counter or burying it in the pile on the desk. Homework assignment number 2, spend some time working on your selected projects for the month. They've already picked them. They're on their current projects list. And then make sure you feel comfortable breaking them down into bite-sized pieces and organizing the actionable steps and prioritizing project work into your days and weeks. You need to have some time, throughout your week that's predictable to work on projects. If you have so many routines that you don't have any project time, then I would reduce your project list to maybe one thing and just work on that. Because it's ridiculous for you to think that, let's say you're working 3 jobs right now and you're trying to balance, a ton of stuff with your family. Well, then if you put 8 projects on top of that, you're just not going to have time to do it. So instead, you would say, okay, my life right now is very full. I'm going to work on 1 project right now with little bite-sized tasks I can fit into little cracks, little pockets of time during my day. But I'm going to prioritize my projects according to which ones are going to alleviate the pressure on me right now. So if I had 3 jobs right now, my first project would be figuring out how do I either make one of my jobs more profitable so I can reduce and only maybe have 2 jobs, and then I'll go down to 1 job, or what can I do? I would probably be focusing on finances so that I didn't have to work so many hours. That would be my first project. And then once you open up your time, now it's like, okay, now I might want to focus on cleaning my home and getting things a little more organized, or whatever's going to be that next domino that if I knock that one over, it would make everything else kind of go better. It would impact everything else. And then homework assignment number 3, ask questions if you find there are any sticking points. Your calendar, next actions list, routines, and processing should start feeling more natural at this point, and you should see yourself moving forward and building momentum on your projects. Now, in 4 weeks to finish, we have daily office hours. We have a Facebook group. We're doing email and text coaching. Like, we've got a lot of support going on there. And so that's where they go to ask questions. If you're in our STEP Mastery program, you have a STEP Mastery Facebook group. You can ask questions in there. There's more than 17,000 people in there right now, and it's awesome. We do have a Learn, Do, Become community free Facebook group, but that's not really a coaching group. We will answer questions on some of like the basic stuff that we do have out on the podcast and in our resources, but our team puts most of the coaching effort into our paid programs. We've had a lot of people come in and join STEP this month and this year because they're like, okay, I'm ready to take that next step and have more commitment. And 4 weeks to finish, we haven't decided on start date yet because it's been a lot of work. We all need a little break after we're done with this. But we are excited to figure out when the next time would be that we could do it because it's fun. If you're thinking, I want to be in your 4 weeks to finish group next time, we have a wait list. It's linked on the show notes page again, or it's learndobecome.com/4 weeks. We also have your play along at home calendar. For those of you who are new, last month I released a new Organized Mindset audio series. And along with that, we have a calendar for this, 4 week to finish. Essentially, we're doing a 4 weeks to finish official program, but we have an at-home calendar that uses our resources on the site, like podcasts and videos, and breaks it down for you and gives you a little bite-sized assignment each day related to something already published on the site so that you can really build momentum. And we've put them together in a way that they're kind of paralleling what we're working on in the program. So our goal really is to be able to strengthen our whole community. If you want to purchase a formal program, awesome. But if you're like, I don't really trust you guys yet, that's how I always am. When I get online, I'm like, I don't really trust a lot of people. So I want to check out your free stuff first. And if I like it, then I'll buy something from you later. So if you're like me, then go to the link. It's on our show notes page, your play along at home calendar. And that takes you to the audio series and to that calendar. It's a Google sheet. It has all the links for you. I also have linked to our holiday planning guide, so you can check that out. I usually start planning for Christmas in October. I found if I wait till November, then if I get sick or something, or someone gets a cold, or that I find myself behind things. So I usually just start in October, and that just gives me a whole lot of time, and it makes holidays so easy that it doesn't stress me out. And we also have a link to our free training, How to Finally Stop Drowning in Piles. That's the one where you get the worksheet that we featured in this post and everything like that, okay? So I hope that sounds exciting to you, and I hope that you're moving forward and feeling relaxed and happy. I just want you to imagine your life waking up in the morning and having your bedroom totally clean and organized, and then you just make your bed and you go throughout your home, and your home is totally organized, and you do your routines like you're exercising, and maybe you're having spiritual time, and you're spending time with your family, and then as you're doing those routines, you're making it to every calendared appointment, so you're never late for anything. No bills are ever late. It's really easy to keep on top of it all. And you also have project time every day where you're moving forward on the most important projects for your work or for your family or for yourself. And then you go to bed every night feeling really happy, like, oh man, we just had a great day today. This was fun. And I felt happy all day, most of the day. And I'm emotionally resilient, and I'm doing good work, and I'm going outside my comfort zone, and I'm helping people, and I'm feeling like my relationships are really good. I have, strong family relationships. I have good connections with my friends. I feel supported. I'm gracious with myself. I'm not beating myself up. I'm really feeling mentally healthy and physically healthy and just happy. And I'm able to align with God or however you define, divine help or that extra power. You feel strengthened by that. And you feel like, I can't wait for tomorrow. Isn't it a gift to get to live? That's how I want you to feel. Okay, before I close up, I just want to tell you briefly about our We Love to Be a Family Day. That was on our Play It Long at Home calendar. We put it on February 14th because it's kind of a Valentine's Day type thing. We just did ours yesterday. It's President's Day here in the States, so everyone had school off and Ethan got work off, and so we had so much fun. And we keep it so simple. So really what it was is I get out a Trader Joe's bag, or you can use any grocery, brown grocery sack. We cut it up, open it up. Spencer actually did it for us this year. And then I did 8 activities. So I cut out 8 little hearts and then numbered them 1 through 8 and taped them to the bag and made a little map. It was so fun. And it was our 10th annual We Love to Be a Family Day. This is our first one Josh was in because Josh and Aaliyah just got married last year. And so he got to be part of We Love to Be a Family Day. And Grace is on her mission right now for our church, so she wasn't there. But we had our very first activity was making a little video for her, letting her know how much we love her. And so we did that. And then we were at home for about 3 hours. And we made a streamer run for Spencer because we do that for everyone's birthday. And on his birthday, I was sick, so I just gave him one streamer, like a finish line, and he ran across it, and he wasn't very happy. So almost 6 months later, we made him a new streamer run, and the whole family made it for him. He got to run down the stairs through the streamers. It was really fun. We turned our house into like a little mini golf course. So we had a couple golf putters, and then I got these things on Amazon. They're like the golf holes, so it's like a little green pad, and you can set them somewhere in the house and then play mini golf. So we did that. And then we made a trick shot video. We have like a little, tiny basketball hoop with little basketballs. And so anyway, we made this little video. Aaliyah helped edit it, where everyone came up with a really creative way that they would throw a basketball, and then we just used the same video clip over and over again, showing the ball going in. So it was just super random. Like one of them, Eric was outside down the street and he threw the ball really far, and then you see it like go in. Anyway, it was just funny. And I hit like one with a ping pong paddle, and anyway, we had a ball go in the toilet. It was kind of funny. One in the microwave. Anyway, we put music to the background. It was super fun. So we did a little trick shot video. Grace likes making those, and then we sent it to Grace as like our little present for her. Anyway, and so we had a really good time just doing little activities here at home, and then we had dinner and a movie. So fun. And then someone today in our Rise group just posted how they did their own We Love to Be a Family Day, and it was awesome. They made snowmen. I think they worked on puzzles. They went and got a treat. They went bird watching. And she posted all her pictures. And I was so proud of her and she just said, if anyone can do it, or if I can do it, anyone can do it, because it was so simple. But she said, I found there really wasn't much fighting going on because everyone's excited about the next little step. So if you haven't done it yet, I do recommend you do it, but don't overcomplicate it, because it needs to be something that really works in with your energy level. Like I made sure I got a good night's rest the night before. We started around 11:30, so we had time in the morning to exercise and get breakfast, kind of get ready, had a slow morning. And then the activities were very like low energy requirements. They were just fun, but they were easy. And so that's the idea, is you want it to just feel fun. But when the whole family's present and engaged and they're going from heart to heart to heart, then it's like, instead of saying, oh no, let's do this activity, and everyone's saying, no, I don't want to, you say, okay, here's the next activity. And I wrote little poems for each one. Anyway, it literally took me, 20 minutes to make the map. And then we just had a fun day together. And so anyway, it was really awesome. And so I just want to share that was a project on my list. When you have your projects organized, okay, let's go back to that empowerment we talked about at the beginning. When you have your projects organized and you know where you want your energy to be, not only do you have confidence as you're doing those projects because you don't feel like you're missing something else, you also know, hey, I'm focused, I'm moving forward, and I'm creating memories that, like, this is what life is about for me. If I don't actually plan my projects and decide, hey, what am I working on right now? Then typically I just don't get much done. I'll just kind of be like drifting. And so the projects list is not meant to control you or run you. It's meant to give you the ability to make decisions for your own life. And it feels really, really good. And at any point during the month, if something comes up and you need to adjust, you adjust. And no one's there with a whip telling you you've got to get all these projects done. It's just a few projects that you're deciding that they deserve your focus, and you do it. There's great potential for each one of us to have more peace and more hope and more joy, more awesome memories with the people we love. And if that's important to you, I promise you, building this Step Command Central, it's going to change your life. I have screenshots all over my phone of people's testimonials coming in. Literally every time I open up my Facebook app and I click on my notifications, I'm just like, and I'm so proud of that person, and I'm so proud of that person. I can't, we are in the process, or our next in line project is developing a better system for gathering all these testimonials and sharing them, because I'm kind of quiet on social media and I'm just really engaged in what we're doing right now. So I'm not out sharing a lot of it. But the energy is so good, and the stories that you are sharing are so powerful. It's making an impact. Even as you're sharing, people are now emailing saying, okay, I joined Step a couple years ago and I just read something that was so inspiring on Facebook from one of the members. I've got to get back into it. How do I log in? If that's you, it's my.learndobecome.com. That's your login area, and you can reset your password with the email you used. Okay, I won't go into any more detail now. Got to go. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Come check out our show notes page, learndobecome.com/episode 133. All the links are there. The pictures are there. The descriptions of the successful project, the characteristics of the successful project are there. We're just here to support you and help you and train you on some of these super simple but effective details that will make a difference for your life. Okay, sending lots and lots and lots of love, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.